Hey, I'm JP Karliak, voice actor, queer activist, and snappy dresser, and I'm the next guest on Screen and Beyond.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry, news on upcoming TV and DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
Well, it's another week and another episode of On Screen and Beyond. This is episode 733, and this is the show that brings you a celebrity guest each week from the movie, TV, or music industry, as well as keeping you updated on what's coming your way as far as remakes, sequels, prequels, upcoming new movies, TV and movie DVD releases, and the rumor mill. Our guest this week is JP Karliak, and he is one of the voiceover stars of this summer's movie, Smurfs. And he is the voice of Gargamel and Razamel in the film. And he has been in many other movies and TV shows, including as Morph on X-Men 97. JP is coming up shortly, so get ready for that. I'm your host, Brian Zemrak. And we have some interesting information coming your way, including on an upcoming Will Ferrell, Zac Efron film, and Downton Abbey info, and a whole lot more. Well, that'll be coming up in just a few seconds here. So we got to get things going. But what are you watching as far as movies, old movies, TV shows, whatever? You know, I always ask that of my guests. I want to know what you're watching. What are you enjoying? You know, give us some suggestions that we can share with all the listeners of On Screen and Beyond, all the watching people and everything. And, help people find things to watch. Just let me know by sending me an email at feedback@onscreenandbeyond.com, and I want to hear what you are enjoying. And you can share your suggestions with all the other listeners right here. So be sure to let me know. And check us out on onscreenandbeyond.com, on Facebook, on Instagram, where I hope you, share the posts that we put up each week so we can get more people knowing about our guests that we have here at On Screen and Beyond, and they can hear them and watch them. Just tell a friend. Keep things going along here at On Screen and Beyond. Subscribe and follow on whatever podcast provider that you are watching us on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Alexa, Podbeam, or whatever you get your podcasts from for the audio version. And for video versions, you can get it on Spotify or YouTube. And there you can, like I say, subscribe, follow. So each week you get it as soon as we put it out. Generally, we are putting episodes out on Sundays, but you never know. Sometimes we have to change plans up because of different reasons. So be sure to go ahead and subscribe. And JP Karliak is the voice of Gargamel and Razamel in this summer's Smurfs movie. He's coming up in a few minutes. But first, it's time for remakes, sequels, and prequels on Screen and Beyond.
Please hang up and try again.
Remakes, sequels, and prequels. August 29th is the premiere date for the remake of The Toxic Avenger in theaters. Avengers Doomsday with Chris Hemsworth, Kelsey Grammer, Paul Rudd, Patrick Stewart, James Marsden, and so many others will fly onto the big screen on May 1st, 2026. September 12th, Downton Abbey, the grand finale, will land in theaters for its final goodbye. And we'll have to see if that is the final goodbye, because you never know. And the reboot of Red Sonja has been given an R rating. No release date yet for other than in 2025. We'll see. And the production of Mel Gibson's sequel to 2004's The Passion of the Christ, called The Resurrection of the Christ, will start in August in Rome. Their filming starts then. And that's it for remakes, sequels, and prequels. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, upcoming new movies. Upcoming new movies, Russell Crowe will star in a Cold War thriller film called $1 Billion Spy. It is currently in pre-production. And it looks like Leonardo DiCaprio will produce a movie about abuse of an American Indian boarding school. The film is called 9 Little Indians. And Will Ferrell and Zac Efron and Regina Hall will star in a comedy for Amazon MGM Studios. Efron plays a convict fresh out of prison who takes a reality TV courtroom hostage to get even with the judge, played by Will Ferrell, who ruined his life. And that's it for upcoming new movies. Next on Screen and Beyond, movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Movies on TV and DVD and streaming. It looks like the 1959 classic Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon film Some Like It Hot comes to 4K on April 8th. April 29th, look for Clint Eastwood's 1971 classic Dirty Harry to arrive in a 4K Steelbook edition. Also on April 29th, more Clint Eastwood classics coming your way, including 1976's The Outlaw Josie Wales, a good film there, and 1985's Pale Rider, both on 4K. And May 13th, Landman Season 1 spills on to Blu-ray with Billy Bob Thornton. And Bewitched, the complete series with Elizabeth Montgomery, comes to Blu-ray on July 8th. And that's it for movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, TV and entertainment time. TV and entertainment time. The Better Sisters, a new crime drama series coming our way on May 29th, starring Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks on Prime Video. And April 30th, it'll be the kickoff for Pat Sajak's final episodes of the nighttime version of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune on ABC. Next fall, Donnie Wahlberg will star in a Blue Bloods spinoff called Boston Blue. And actor Val Kilmer, known for Batman Forever, the movie, The Doors, and Top Gun, and so much more, has passed away at the age of 65. And that's it for TV and entertainment time. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, the voice of Gargamel for this summer's upcoming movie Smurfs, JP Karliak, right here on Screen and Beyond. Today's guest on Screen and Beyond is an actor whose voice has been heard on many animated TV shows and films, including as Morph on X-Men 97, as well as the Joker on Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, The Baby Boss, Back in Business, and up next on July 18th as the voice of Gargamel in the next installment of the Smurfs movies called Smurfs. It's JP Karliak. JP, welcome to On Screen and Beyond.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. And you must be just thrilled that you're part of the Smurf world now.
Yeah. No, it's really exciting, and also just getting to play an iconic villain. Villains are always so much fun. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I did the introduction, I said you were Gargamel, but you are actually two people in the film. You're Gargamel and Razamel, correct?
Yeah. I actually was cast first to play Razamel, who is Gargamel's brother. And they just liked what I was doing so much that they gave me the second role.
Wow. I mean, that's I presume, being the brothers, they must be talking to each other throughout the movie. When you record that, are you jumping from voice to voice, or do you record one and then record the other? Because that sounds very confusing.
Well, when we actually did the recording, I did one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But initially, when I was brought on to the project, I was only brought on to do scratch, which is basically when we lay down sample dialogue at the beginning of production, so they can use that to animate and do storyboards, refine the script, and all that before they bring in the celebrity talent that they might hire for a feature film. And so I was brought in. I read on a few different roles. Eventually, they had me reading on Razamel for a while, and there was a point where in the production where there was a scene between both of the brothers, and they were talking to each other, and they're like, "Oh, I wish we had a clip of Gargamel to hear how this sounds against him." And I was like, "Do you want me to just do it?" And so I did the scene of them talking back and forth to each other, and they were really impressed. And several months later, that is in fact what got me the second job.
Wow. I mean, I can picture like Robin Williams when he used to do things and he changed, he's acting like two people and he's talking back and forth and it's like, man, I got to hand it to you that when, that takes a lot of control, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, it's a lot of specificity, and I appreciate the reference because Robin Williams is in so many ways like one of the reasons that I got into this work. I think one of the uh, one of the films that was early enough in my childhood, but at the point where I started to recognize that this could be a career, was when I saw Aladdin and attached that memory to Robin Williams and was like, okay, that's somebody who I want to be like. So yeah.
wow. Now, when you got the role of Gargamel, uh, of course, um, to me, I'm old, so it goes back to the 80s. I think of Gargamel from the 80s cartoon and everything.
Sure.
And it was Paul Winchell, who's, a legend. I mean, in the voiceover world. Now, did they want you to sound similar to that, or did they just let you go with, or, how did that come about?
I mean, this was such a different process just because I was brought in on scratch. So it wasn't so much that I was given a spec or a breakdown or sides initially to know what their expectations were for the character. It was more just like the first time I saw the script, we were all brought in. There was a bunch of us that were brought in to do a table read and just read through it and make our own choices and assumptions about the characters. So at that first table read, I was reading Razamel. I knew what Gargamel sounded like from Paul Winchell's performance, and I was like, okay, I want to do something that's akin but different, So unsure of what they would eventually do with Gargamel, I figured if in case they go with what that classic sound is, I think Razamel should probably sound different from that.
Hmm.
So I went lower, raspier, growlier. And then pleasantly, when I got the chance to do that scene where we were reading both characters, I then was figured, well, since I made my Razamel so the foil to Gargamel, then the only Gargamel I should do is the classic version. So I'm not saying I do a total sound alike of Paul Winchell, but pretty close. It's in that field. So yeah, that was my inspiration. But at no point did anybody say, just because of the weird sort of way that I got this job, at no point was anybody, this is the specific characterization we're looking for. Because in the Smurfs movies that have already happened, Hank Azaria has played
Right.
him, Rainn Wilson. They've done their own sort of spin on the character. So nobody was really saying, let's go more this way or more that way. I just did it, and they said, yeah, that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, one thing between you and me, uh, I am very happy that they took a voice actor and gave them a major role because it, I know they bring in the big hitters, the actors with the names and everything,
Sure.
but the voice actors to me are so incredible, so talented. It's nice to see that they're getting some of the work that they're not making the $100 million movies or whatever, and then jumping into the voice acting when it's just a preference that I feel that you guys deserve a lot of credit for what you do.
Yeah, I thank you. I so appreciate it, and I think as we are speaking right now, we are just off the heels of the release of the Looney Tunes cartoon movie starring Eric Bauza, who is a workhorse voice actor and very, very brilliant. And yeah, I so appreciate that studios are putting their faith and trust in these iconic characters in in us who have been doing these voices for years without much recognition or or any accolades about it, and really having the chops. And certainly there are on-camera actors and celebrities and comedians who do fantastic work. I mean, I think of, Kung Fu Panda and so many other cartoons that have great on-camera actors doing
Yes. Oh, yeah.
fantastic jobs. But especially when it comes to who started, who's not dabbling in another side of entertainment, but who really cut their teeth and made their name in this side to really get to um show what we can do. It's great, and I hope it happens more. I hope I'm certainly not one of the last. I
Yeah.
hope this becomes more of a trend.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I say, the voice actors, I've had the opportunity to work with a fair amount of voice actors over the years. I wrote a movie and I directed it, and and you may know some of these people like Jeff Bennett,
Of
uh,
course.
Jess Harnell,
Yep.
Debbie Derryberry,
Sure.
Rob Paulson,
Absolutely.
uh, just Dom DeLuise, of course he's
Oh,
passed,
what?
but
Yeah. Wow.
I mean,
What was this movie? This sounds incredible.
it was an animated movie called Bonji Bear and the Kingdom of Rhythm.
Oh, cool.
And it had a guy, Phil Proctor. I don't know if you know him.
Sounds
He,
familiar.
he's, I mean, he was incredible. I mean, the whole batch. So I got a chance to see you guys in, doing work and what you do. And it was just, I got to applaud you because it's just incredible to watch you. And now one thing everybody tells me is they love doing voiceovers because they can go in their jammies. Is that, do you feel the same way?
Yes and no. I do feel um there's an old story about how every when Mel Blanc would come to work, he would come to work in a suit and like,
Really?
with a flower in his lapel and just very dressed up, even though nobody would ever see his face doing the job. I don't go to work in a suit, but I do feel there's something about having put some thought into your outfit, an outfit that gives you confidence and helps you and feels like work clothes to some
Hmm.
extent,
Yep.
and also wearing shoes. Like those are good things. Those are
Yeah.
good things. Even though I work a lot from home now, even then I know I do much better work when I'm not there in my pajamas.
Yeah. Well, you at the beginning you said you're a snappy dresser there, so I figured you're not
Yeah,
going in in just the bummy
I have a
clothes.
reputation to keep up.
That's right. So, what inspired you to become a voiceover actor?
Oh, yeah, it was like I was saying earlier. I grew up loving cartoons. I was obsessed with them. And then right about the time where my young brain started to comprehend uh, that this was a job, this was a career that people actually had, is when I saw Aladdin. And I had the sort of naive idea that there's no way. Well, this was a person doing this job. There's no way that it could be a real job. It had to be something that you got to do, a nice little perk or a benefit for being an on-camera celebrity. So yeah, my thought process was, all right, so if Robin Williams is doing this and he's a famous on-camera actor, then that's what I need to go and do. So that became my trajectory, up until I went to college. And luckily, I had some professors that were kind enough to give me a reality check and be like, you could just audition, and it's not as inaccessible as you're making it out to be. Um, so yeah, from there, I took classes and got an agent, and I started working professionally in 2006, and here we are, almost 20 years later.
Hmm.
uh, it was slow going at first. First year, I think I booked one thing. Second year, maybe two things. Uh, and then it took until about 2014 when I started doing this full time. So,
Wow.
it's been a journey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I've actually had when I was doing research on you, I found that you actually have worked with a couple of people that I've had as guests here on Screen and Beyond.
Oh,
Lenore Zahn, or
amazing.
Zan, yeah. Of course, she's from
Seeing her this weekend. Very excited.
X-Men, from X-Men '97, and
Hmm.
Bob Bergen.
Yeah.
You know
Bob is my mentor. Bob,
that.
he was my first animation instructor.
Yeah, and Jim Cummings, who I consider to be one of the I don't know what you'd call it. Not the grandfather. I don't want to make him sound really old, but he's one of the ones that's still around. It's on
I
everything.
mean, the voice of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only had the pleasure of working with Jim once, but he was great and a blast to watch.
I, I I can imagine it must be incredible to see those. Uh, Now, give us an idea, or can you? I know the movie's not out yet, so a lot of times they don't want you talking about it, but can you give everybody an idea of what the movie is about, the Smurfs?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you kind of get from the trailer is Papa Smurf is sucked into this purple vortex created by the wicked Razamel, Gargamel's wickeder brother. And the Smurfs have to jump into action and somehow find their way to Papa through the real world, through our world. Uh, and Gargamel, who's usually the main villain of this, plays a little bit more second banana to his wickeder, nastier brother. So seeing their dynamic is really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, like I say, without giving you anything away that you can't, I understand. But does Gargamel tend to, you know, cower to his brother?
I mean, he's definitely the younger, less accomplished of the two. So there is that sort of uh, I want to impress my older brother thing going on. But yeah, you'll have to see what their dynamic is. It's a lot of fun. I think I will say that I think one brother has a little more affection for the other than the other way around.
Yeah. And now the movie is coming out on July 18th. And
Mhm.
you having any premieres that they're going to be having, things like that?
Apparently, I actually haven't heard the plan yet. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping for a really fun rollout.
Yeah. Now, can you give our audience an idea of some of the other people who are in it in case they don't know? Of course, Rihanna is in it, right?
Yeah, Rihanna plays Smurfette. She's also written some original music for the movie. And John Goodman plays Papa Smurf. Dan Levy is in it. Natasha Lyonne, Amy Sedaris, Kurt Russell. It's a pretty stacked cast.
Jeez. That's it. Does it sounds like an incredible cast.
Mm.
It should be a lot of fun seeing that and having that's so many talented people on screen at one time. Well, behind the screen, I should say.
Yeah, yes, behind the mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, kids. George Lowe, voice of TV's beloved and venerable Space Ghost. Oh, I should not have eaten that uncooked pork. On screen and beyond.
Now, what is your most challenging role that you've ever had? Is there anything that comes to mind?
They I hope this doesn't sound like a cop out answer, but it's the same answer that I give to what's your favorite role is
Mhm.
they all present they all have their own favorite things and they all have their own challenges. I think when I played Boss Baby, uh, the challenge was the amount of text. Like, I mean, this was a show aimed at little children, and yet I was speaking paragraphs the size of West Wing monologues. Sometimes with so many really erudite, what I like to call SAT words. and sometimes, I mean, there was I remember an episode I think he spoke in Italian. There was an episode where he did a line in Japanese. He was supposed to be a worldly businessman just in a baby's body.
Right.
So there was all of that, so I had to be very prepared for that. Not to mention, in doing Alec Baldwin's voice, he has a very raspy voice. So it's a bit of a grinder on the vocal cords for a full session. Then, of course, playing the Joker in both of the video games that I played him in. It's not so much that it is a physical challenge to play him, but there's the expectation. The fans of DC Comics, and especially Batman and Joker in particular, they're rabid and very opinionated about what the sound of the character is going to be. So there's that little bit of pressure that comes with that and that challenge. And then for the X-Men role that I play, sort of the opposite problem. Morph is a newer interpretation of a character from the classic series from the 90s. Plus, there's the added weight of being the first non-binary superhero on the show, on television, period. And knowing what that means to a whole community of people, and wanting to pay like really do that character and the fans that are looking to that character for visibility justice, while at the same time Morph's a fun lover. He's a witty smartass, and so really just letting loose and having fun with it and not thinking too deeply about it. So yeah, they all come with their own little nuances.
Yeah. So many questions I come up with as you're talking, and then I forget what I was going to ask you.
Oh, sorry.
No. But it's just, I mean, hearing all of the things you're talking about. Now, you mentioned earlier that you enjoy playing the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? I mean, of course, you played the Joker, so he's sort of like the ultimate villain, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I've played a bunch at this point in various, sometimes random projects, but I've played the Joker. I played Green Goblin for Spidey and His Amazing Friends. I played Loki for a Marvel web series. I've really checked a lot of boxes of some of the classic villains that I love. The one that remains out of my grasp so far is Skeletor. I'm a huge fan of Skeletor from He-Man, which was the first animated show I watched as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he remains my favorite villain. So
Now,
I'm hoping to take a crack at that at some point.
I was going to say, aren't they making a live action version of He-Man or that universe?
They are. They've been trying to get it off the ground for, oh God, it feels like 20 years, and they're finally there, and they're finally doing it. So I'm excited to see not only what that project looks like, but really if it spurs additional interest in the property, and if they make another animated show, and we'll see. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. They keep bringing back these shows that were from the 80s and 90s in cartoons, making them into full length live action movies, and then, like you say, it spawns other things back into being the shows again, like X-Men 97 and everything. It's just they keep bringing things back. So
yeah,
if you were not a voiceover actor, what do you think you'd be doing?
I probably the day job that I had while I was starting off in voiceover and figuring things out and paying bills was I worked in event planning.
Mm-hmm.
I worked specifically at a university, like doing events for alumni and students and all sorts of stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. Yep. It was challenging. It has its own level of adrenaline, especially the day of the event. Trying to carry things off perfectly. I think that was fun, and yeah, if all else fails, that's where I'll be.
I'm sure you won't be going back to that. You've got.
I think Rob Paulson, since you mentioned his name, he has always admitted that even at the lauded point in his career that he's at, and it is incredible, he always still has that feeling after he walks out of a recording session that that's the last one and he'll never book anything ever again. And I think at to greater or lesser degrees, I mean, I'm sure there are some actors that are very confident in their in what's coming, but there's so many factors. Like even, no matter how talented you are, the industry, shifts wildly sometimes, and so I think we all have that little bit of trepidation that maybe this time in the booth is our last one. So uh, I think I think that has not made me a worrywart, but has actually made me appreciate the time that I have in the booth and the fun that it is, and pinching myself sometimes that I get to do the wacky thing that I do.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny what you mentioned when we were talking about Rob Paulson. After he got done with his role that we were doing, Danica McKellar was the next one on that was going to do her voiceovers, and she was thrilled. She knew Rob, for what he was with the Warner Brother characters and things that he did. And she asked him to sing, and boy, it's so long ago, I can't remember the
countries of the world. United States, Panama, Texas.
Yeah. He went through that, and I'm sitting there, wow, it was incredible. Yeah.
Hey, everybody, this is Jim Cummings, and I am on Screen and Beyond. So don't touch that dial.
July 18th. Smurfs comes our way. Everybody should be looking out for that. And it's I'm sure you're all thrilled and everything. But finishing up, when you sit back and relax, and I know you're busy a lot because of all the things that you've done, but what are your favorite TV shows now and of the past when you were growing up? And what's your favorite movies now and of the past? What do you enjoy watching?
Oh boy. Well, right now, I watch a bunch of different TV. My husband and I are big fans of Severance and White Lotus. We're catching up on Star Wars Andor in anticipation of the second season. We watch Only Murders in the Building. We watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, lots of different things. Oh, and like Great British Bake Off and stuff like that. And then I also watch I'm a big fan of adult animation, like Arcane and Castlevania and lots of different stuff. But the stuff that I watched growing up, like Batman the Animated Series, and Animaniacs and Tiny Toons, really were the things that crystallized in my brain. That a lot of the archetypes and a lot of the different characters that I pull from now.
Yeah. What about movies?
Let's see.
Besides Smurfs.
Oh, yeah, well, of course. I'm trying to think what movies. I mean, we just got done watching all of the screeners and all of the Oscar movies, so I love trying to see as many nominees as possible. Also, the animated movies that were nominated, catching those, like all the Disney Pixar movies, as well as Wild Robot, Flow. I like a whole bunch of different things.
Do you have a favorite, film that no matter how many times you see it on TV, or you just got to watch it no matter what, because it's just something that you have, you know it by heart, can say everything that's in it? Or
I have maybe three. One is Anti-Mame with Rosalind Russell. Posters on my wall.
Ah, yes.
One would be Addams Family Values with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston and Joan Cusack. It's so funny. Oddly, I watched this the other day, and this is kind of a different genre. Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl, the first one. I love that movie.
Yeah, great film.
It feels so much like the ride. It just feels like you're just on a 2-hour journey on the ride, and I can turn that on whenever. I just had it on the other day. I was cleaning the house, and I just had it on in the background while I was cleaning. Yeah.
Yep. That's it. I know what you mean. That is a movie that's, you got to watch it. You got to see it. I mean, it's just so much fun to watch it. They made that let's say, cartoon type, almost like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And all that. So, hey, I wanted to ask you about that. Wile E. Coyote. I in the original stuff, he never talked, did he?
He did. In maybe of the many, many, many Looney Tune shorts that there were, he's spoken, I think, about 6.
Really?
With the exception of one, all of them had Bugs Bunny in them. Or no, 2, with the exception of 2 of them. Yeah, it was not Roadrunner. It was Wiley and Bugs Bunny. The 2 exceptions, one was he wasn't really, his character design was Wile E. Coyote, but he wasn't really Wile E. Coyote. You might remember a short that was him hunting down sheep, and there was this dog with the shaggy, like you couldn't see his eyes.
Couldn't see his eyes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and they would check in and check out, like, hey George, hey Bob, and they would check in as the dog herder and the predatory wolf. But it was Wile E. Coyote. So we talked there. And then there was also a really great short that I love of there are 2 little boys sitting in front of the TV watching Wile E. Coyote chase the Roadrunner, and they're asking each other, like, why does he bother? Why does he do this? And Wiley, like, hits the brakes. He's like, well, so glad you asked, gentlemen. And he pulls out this hilarious chart that looks like the diagram of the cuts of meat of a cow, but of the Roadrunner. And he talks about the different flavor profiles of the different parts of the Roadrunner. It's so stupid and funny. I love it. So, yeah, he did have a voice, but it wasn't a very well-known one. So, unlike the folks who were auditioning for Bugs, Daffy, Porky, Yosemite, I had some leeway as to what my stamp on Wile E. Coyote was going to be. It didn't have to be an exact sound alike.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting. But now that you mentioned it, especially about the sheepdog with the eyes covered, and I can remember that. But boy, it's a long time ago, so my memory is horrible.
Yeah.
Well, JP, I thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. And also, everybody should be looking out for the Smurfs on July 18th in theaters. Go and see it in the theater. You don't want to watch it later on a little teeny screen or anything like that. Go enjoy it in the theaters. And I thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your journey with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our chat with JP Karliak. Be sure to check out his upcoming film, Smurfs, on July 18th in theaters. And we thank him so much for joining us here. And be sure to let me know what your TV shows and movies that you're watching are, what are you enjoying, by sending them to me by email at feedback@onscreenandbeyond.com. And we can share them with the others here that watch and listen to On Screen and Beyond. And since everyone is looking for something enjoyable to watch, subscribe and follow on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to tell a friend so they too can enjoy some of their favorite TV, movie, and music stars as they share their stories and projects with us each week right here on Screen and Beyond. And that's it. That's a wrap for this episode of On Screen and Beyond. So until next time, when we once again take you on screen and beyond, I'm Brian Zemrak. Take care.